On this edition of Motorcycle Experience, after spending 2 great days of riding out into the desert that surrounds Las Vegas, Nevada, today we hope to go 3 for 3 as we head towards California. Then, during this week's Red Adventure, Tony Sharpless is back to take a look at dressing for success. Then our resident riding instructor Clinton Smout will stop by to discuss intersections. Plus, motorcycle journalist Colin Fraser will roll up with some advice on shopping for a used motorcycle, while looking back at the 125 4-stroke Honda that kick-started a resurgence of small displacement motorcycles. All this and more on Motorcycle Experience. Hello and welcome to Motorcycle Experience, the voice of motorcyclists everywhere. I'm Dave Hatch, and this week we're coming to you from Shannonville Motorsport Park, just east of Belleville, Ontario. As for our road test this week, we're going to step into the ring with a touring motorcycle that is set to go the distance, Harley-Davidson's Ultra. Behold, Harley-Davidson's ultimate tribute to the state-of-the-art of touring, the Road Glide Ultra. Now, if you've been around Harley-Davidson products over the last couple of years, then you know that their recent Project Rushmore overhaul has really impacted the Motor Corp's most recent batch of touring machines. Thanks to that 3-year-long customer-led development study, last fall Harley delivered the Road Glide Ultra, replete with a pile of refinements. Some are small and less noticeable, items like one-touch latches and vents, and more intuitive hand control switches, while other big impact items include the 100-watt color touchscreen Boombox 6.5 infotainment system with built-in Bluetooth and GPS. Powering the Road Glide Ultra is Harley's very latest twin-cooled high-output 103 cubic-inch V-twin with its 6-speed transmission and belt final drive. But added to the secret sauce is a new linked ABS braking system, air-adjustable rear suspension, and a redesigned frame-mounted fairing with new triple split-screen vents designed to improve airflow while reducing buffeting. The new Road Glide Ultra is without a doubt a striking piece. But how does it work out on the open road? Well, here's this week's guest road tester, Blair Smith.
Holy smokes, I can't tell you the difficulty we went through getting this off the truck. It is such a big motorcycle. That was my first impression. What was yours?
Well, the same. When I first walked up to it and looked at it, I thought, wow, that looks like a really heavy bike. And the fact that you're not pulling the fairing around with you when you're steering with a frame-mounted fairing like that, it steers a lot lighter than you'd think. I mean, this thing I think weighs in somewhere around 900 pounds. It sure doesn't feel like that in the bars.
Yeah. How did you like the 103?
Well, that's a really nice smooth machine. It pulls hard. It doesn't matter what gear you're in. The roll-on is there. It's really responsive. Very nice smooth engine all the way up. And you know what? I really like the sound of it too. Just these pipes. It's nice throat. It's a really nice, really rich tone. I mean, all the way through the whole throttle range. It's just a really nice tone of the bike, and it pulls hard all the time.
This bike also represents a lot of work in terms of that Project Rushmore, including things like now linked brakes and ABS. How did you like the stopping power?
Well, you know, it's almost like power brakes. Like it's very soft, progressive application of brakes, and it comes to a stop. I mean, with the double discs in the front, it's really comes to a stop in a big hurry. But what I like with the ABS, that linked, you know, they've got down in parking lot speed, the linking is disconnected, so there's no real danger of, you know, having front brake input in a parking lot turn, which is kind of a scary place.
Yep. What did you think of the riding position and the floorboards and just the pegs, seat, handlebar ratio?
Well, I know that they've changed this year with this bike, that they brought this back in. They've put a rise to these handlebars now, I think about 2 inches maybe. I actually found them a little bit too high initially. And it could be just because this is the way this bike is set up. Obviously, I'd set it up different for myself, roll the bars maybe a little farther forward, but I found that the bars were a little high. My wrists, my hands are above my elbows, and that makes it for a kind of an uncomfortable place for my shoulders
right.
on a long distance. So yeah, I think the bars might be a little high because they lowered the seat as well. So with the combination of you know, an inch or two lowered seat and an inch or two added to the bars, it really changes the position. Mm-hmm. You know, it's a comfortable riding position in terms of seat to leg room to all that, but I just found the bars were a little bit high for me.
Now, Harley's really proud of this new boombox infotainment center. Did you get a chance to play around with that at all?
Well, I played with it a little bit as we were cruising between sites along the day, and you know, there's a lot of things going on with the toggle switches on both sides. There's thumbs. I mean, everything is literally at your fingertips, so you don't have to take your fingers off your hands off the grips at all. You've got control of the navigation system, the information system, the whole media, intercom, everything right there at your fingertips.
Who would you recommend this bike to?
Well, you know, I'm a big believer that anyone can really ride anything. It's about a matter of technique and, you know, if you can put your foot on the ground and hold the weight of the bike. But I think, you know, this is not really a starter bike because it is big, it is heavy, and there's a lot of power in that 103. So I think a rider should have a couple of years road experience first before they get on a bike as big and powerful as this one. More experience is a safer place. And, you know, I'm all about safety with
For sure.
motorcycling.
Well, it looks like it'll take you anywhere.
You bet. I mean, this kind of bike, I think, you know, this is not too big a bike to be your everyday rider. Mm-hmm. But certainly, if you want to do some long miles, this is your machine.
Very nice. Nice job, Blair. Thanks
very
for
much.
coming out today.
And it was, you know, it's really great to get out and have a great motorcycle experience.
Nice. Well done.
Hang in there, we've got plenty more experience still ahead. Next, expert off-road rider Tony Sharpless says when it comes to adventure riding, best dress for success. While Norm Wells and I get set for day 3 in our ultimate ride. Portions of Motorcycle Experience are brought to you by Honda Canada, BMW Motorrad, and Olympia Motorsports. Closed captioning of Motorcycle Experience is brought to you by TELUS Ride for Dad.
Welcome back to Motorcycle Experience. I'm Dave Hatch, and it's time now for this week's Red Adventure. Today, Tony Sharpless wants to talk about your outerwear. But before we get to that, let's catch up with Norm Wells and this week's Ultimate Ride.
So on this, our 16th Ultimate Ride, Norm and I are spending 4 very intense days and nights in and around what is often referred to as the entertainment capital of the world, Las Vegas. The loose plan for this adventure was to ride out from Sin City into the desert in a different direction each day and search out some of the best roads while looking for interesting things to see. Today, we're starting out our 3rd day of riding, just north of Las Vegas, in kind of a reflective mood. But don't let that fool you. This would in fact turn out to be the best day of the trip.
Now, this is what I call exotic. It's day 3, 8 a.m., midway through our Viva Las Vegas tour, and we're in a parking lot next to a McDonald's 30 minutes north of Las Vegas. What gives?
Well, this is where we planned to start the trip. We were supposed to do it in front of the Luxor Hotel where we're staying, but they threw us off the property when we said we wanted to film there. And understandably, because there's probably people walking around that shouldn't be in the shots that we were taking.
Or don't want to be seen.
Yeah, exactly, yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's why we're here, and that's where we're going to start our 3rd day from here.
So this is it, Viva Las Vegas. We're in the suburbs heading north, but the reason why we wanted to stop just now and sort of recap a few things, one is just to point out, we are staying right on the strip. We're at the Luxor Hotel, and you got us a great rate.
Yeah, and I just went on to one of the one of the Google sites and found a rate of $60. And like you said, it's on Las Vegas Boulevard. It's a cool hotel.
Yeah.
And it's cheap, and not cheap in quality, but cheap in value. And with that and the inexpensive flights to get here and the very affordable motorcycles for the week, the vacation turns out to be nothing more than like going to Mexico for a week or something.
Yeah, I was amazed with Eagle Rider that renting a motorcycle was as cheap as renting a car. So yeah, one of the great things about coming down in the off season, this is December, is it is very affordable. That's been great. The last benefit also for being down here in the off season is we have been riding some fantastic roads, and we have owned those roads. We've seen virtually nobody all day. So that's been a great benefit.
Well, and lots of beautiful scenery too. I mean, from brown mountains to red mountains to twisty roads to the Hot Wheel tracks. It's just been a fantastic first half of the trip, and hopefully we can keep that going.
Right, so today we're heading north, that's the plan?
Yeah, we're on the 95 now. This is the highway that that goes up to Reno, but I'd like to do a little detour here on our way up to Indian Springs on 157 and try and get into the canyon here. But again, as we found out, this looks like a canyon road that's going to be good, but because we had short preparation time for this trip, we didn't really get to really research how we normally do, and that's one thing I would say is come down prepared, and if you're going to be on a road motorcycle, make sure you do some internet earth kind of views of what the roads are so that you know what you're getting into.
Well, so far we've been making it up as we go along. We like to do that. We've been getting into some great roads. We've got another day ahead of us, so I say, Viva Las Vegas.
Let's go.
Let's hit it. Be sure to tune in next week and continue to follow along in our Ultimate Ride series. As you will see, we come across a mining town that will blow your mind. Anyway, it's time now for this week's Red Adventure. Let's catch up with Tony Sharpless. So Tony, here we are back down at the Toronto Motorcycle Show, which opens tomorrow, and we have all these accessories around us. Last week I said to you, bring all the undergear, all the Under Armour that you wear when you go on a real extreme adventure, and you used Morocco as an example, and you brought the gear, and that was fantastic. This week I said, go run around and find us the very latest in terms of jacket, pants, gloves that you would wear for maybe like a Northern Ontario tootling around kind of weekend, like that one right there.
Yeah, that's the
Thanks,
perfect
Mike.
cottage road.
Yeah, so what would you take on a ride like an adventure ride like that?
Well, you're sticking mostly to the roads on this type of an adventure, and the gravel roads or cottage roads. So you want to have the protection, that hasn't changed.
Right.
But what I do is I wear a jacket that has it all integrated into it. So you have your elbow pads in it, you have the back protector, it's in there,
Right.
and your shoulder pads. Now the other thing with the jacket is you want to make sure that it's really versatile, because you might start off early in the morning and it's really cold and dewy, and then it heats up and it's pretty hot during the day. So you want versatility. So I like something that has some venting options, like this one. Has a big panel that you take and you fold it right down. I like that idea because the panels I always would lose. I'd zip them right off and then I can't find them later.
Yeah, where did that go? Yeah.
So this is great where it just tucks down into a nice big pocket. I use this pocket sometimes for my drift camera. I just throw it in there and I can grab it easy with my clutch hand, and I can pull it out and take a shot or whatever and throw it back in my big
Very
pocket.
cool. All right, that's very clever. What's key with the pants that go with this suit?
So these pants have the armor in them as well. So protection is number one. And then again, you have the versatility to make it into a vented pant. Comes with the liners inside. So you have the windproof and waterproof liner inside.
Right.
Which is really cool with this Olympia stuff, is that you can take it out and you can wear it on the outside if you prefer that method as well.
Very cool. And finally, hand protection.
Yeah, so hand protection, I like to, if I'm starting off in cold weather, I'll wear leather gloves. These ones are for really cold weather because it has actually the battery pack in it. And that's great for those really cold mornings when you're taking off and it's still kind of frosty.
Yep.
And you can see your breath. So I like to use these in conjunction with a heated grip. And then if it gets really hot out, I'll have all my vents open and I'll be wearing a mesh jacket, mesh pants, and then I want mesh gloves to go with it. So I have my mesh gloves for when it's really hot, because you should always ride with gloves on, because your first instinct when you fall is to put your hands out.
Sure.
So you should always have some gloves on your hands.
Well, Tony, this is just great. There's just so many things to consider in your gear when you're talking about adventure riding. This is awesome.
You're right, Dave. When you want to go out and have some fun, you want to make sure that you have the right protection on so that you can go out and have fun. You don't have to stay home when it's raining or it's cold out.
Yeah, this is really going to extend your riding day, right? Cold, hot, cold, you can do it all.
Right from early spring to late fall.
Nice. Well done.
Thank you.
Still ahead, some sound advice on shopping for a used motorcycle. And on shifting gears, expert riding instructor Clinton Smout says, practice makes perfect.
Welcome back to Motorcycle Experience. I'm Dave Hatch. It's time now for Shifting Gears. This week, Clinton Smout wants to talk about those dangerous intersections and prepping for the worst. So Clinton, this week on Shifting Gears, you want to talk about a Metro Toronto police study you saw recently that looked into motorcycle accidents.
Yes.
And what it demonstrated was that two things are the major factor. All the way down that list you showed me, it was excessive speed and left turning intersections.
Yes.
Being struck by a vehicle is what it said.
Exactly.
So let's talk about that part first. Intersections. What do you recommend when we talk about approaching intersections?
Well, the speed part of it, excessive. We all love a vehicle that goes fast, but we recommend take it to a track.
Right.
Buy a track bike, or a lot of programs like Fast provide the bike.
Yeah.
When we're in a 50-kilometer-hour zone, a lot of us are traveling 60 at least. So that's where, as you say, high alert. We know we're going to have interaction between other vehicles, Dave.
Yeah.
So what I've told students for years, scrub off some speed down to the posted speed limit on the approach to an intersection.
Right.
I recommend you do it with the front brake for two reasons. It puts the rear brake light on and says, hey, I might be doing something up here, but it also gets the brain and the muscle synapses into the motion of braking.
Right.
You're warming up the front rotor.
Yeah.
You're getting a little suspension compression. You're into braking zone. So if and when a car turns left across your path,
Yeah.
because they didn't see you,
Yeah.
you're already there. You're half a second faster, and half a second at 50 kilometers an hour is a long distance.
Right. So basically, you're going, no matter where you are, once you're approaching an intersection, you're going into high alert every single time. Because
Absolutely.
the chances are, if you're going to have a problem, that's where
it is.
That's where it is. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a high-speed intersection, even at low speed. What is it about drivers that they don't see us?
I think part of it is, as a human, we see a lot of stuff around. So there's restaurant signs on the side of the road, gas station signs, and your brain filters out extraneous details. When you're driving, you're supposed to be focusing on that. So a vehicle driver, not so much a motorcycle rider, but a vehicle driver is looking for what? Other cars,
Right.
other trucks.
Yeah.
So often when the police officer hears, I didn't see the guy on
Yeah.
the motorcycle, they didn't see the forest for the trees. We were there, but they didn't see us.
Right.
Often drivers who hit us also say, you know what, I saw him, but I thought I could beat him across the intersection. So they may pull out in front seeing you, and then at the
they
last
can beat you,
second,
yeah.
oh my God, and they hammer the brakes.
Right. Okay, so being seen is also a key when you're talking about intersections. Great advice.
Thanks, Dave.
Thank you.
Alrighty then, now that we've got you all set to ride, stay tuned because next, Inside Motorcycles senior editor Colin Fraser has some great advice on shopping for a used motorcycle. Portions of Motorcycle Experience are brought to you by Honda Canada, BMW Motorrad, and Olympia Motorsports. Welcome back to Motorcycle Experience. I'm Dave Hatch, and we'll wrap up our show now by stepping back into the time machine and traveling all the way back to 2007. That was when we flew down to Miami Beach, Florida to attend the press launch for Honda's all-new, at that time, CBR 125. But before we do that, let's pay a visit to the used section at our local motorcycle dealership to get some sound advice on shopping for a previously loved motorcycle. Joining us now is veteran motorcycle journalist Colin Fraser.
So Colin, this week on the Used Bike Corner, we've been talking about shopping for used motorcycles, and we've covered a whole pile of subjects about what to look for when you're shopping. We haven't talked about fluids. What about fluids, liquids?
Well, you don't really want to see anything that should be inside, outside. So the first concern, because it's the biggest safety concern, is brake fluid. So you've got a master cylinder, similar to this up here.
Yep.
You've got a brake line that pushes the fluid. You've got a caliper. Any sign of brake fluid is catastrophic. That's a really bad sign. That at best is sloppy maintenance, and at worst is some kind of leak. Brake fluid, you can tell it's an extremely weird, slippery material, and you're going to know it's not oil, it's something specific. But then there's liquid cooling, the oil level in the engine, all that kind of stuff. You want to check that as best you can. Look at the overflow, see that it's within the range. If you can, bring a flashlight, have a look down inside the fairing and see is there any surprises in there.
Any fluid, right?
Yeah, but any kind of fluid should make you start second guessing the plan here, and also ask some very pointed questions to whoever's presenting this motorcycle.
So this week we're shopping for a used motorcycle. We're looking for just a slightly older version of this one.
Well, not quite the Jody Christie replica, no.
But the 2007 CBR 125R. Do you remember those?
Absolutely. So that was sort of the leading edge of the wedge, not just with Honda in the small displacement bikes, but the whole industry turning towards smaller, less expensive, easier to insure type motorcycles, and it was really a revolution, and it started with the CBR 125. Not a hugely powerful motorcycle, but a pretty flexible, reasonably comfortable, versatile, can carry two people, really good starter bike, and they sold a lot of them, so there's a lot of them around, but give it a good look, because some of them have been looked after and some of them haven't.
Right, and if I recall, we were attending the press launch in Miami for that one. And right now you can pick a used CBR 125R from around 2007 for about $1,800. So great way to get into the sport. This is what we thought of that motorcycle back at the press launch.
It's time now to head down to Miami, more specifically Homestead Speedway, where we recently attended a Honda Canada press launch designed to introduce Canadian motorcycle enthusiasts to this. The CBR 125RR. Pretty cool, eh? Now, what we've got here is a 4-stroke fuel-injected 125 with a catalytic exhaust. So it's fuel efficient and very clean. It's got 6 gears and real suspension, so we know it's fun. But what this bike is really all about is it's light, low, and user-friendly.
This is a motorcycle for people who have no motorcycling experience and for whom they have no motorcycling friends that they can call and rely on. Honda is providing almost a no questions, no worries purchase. That's what's most important about this bike. And it's fuel injected, so it's very smooth, very controllable. It's not like an old carbureted bike that would pop and fart and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It really is quite a sophisticated beast for its price range.
Well, that's it for this week's program, folks. We're all out of time. Be sure to tune in next week as I'll be up in Whitehorse for their Ride for Dad. Also next week, we'll have a road test of Kawasaki's all-new Ninja 300, so be sure to tune in. Till then, keep your feet on the pegs, your right hand cranked. Bye for now.